What do you say, Dustin?
Let's get it cracking, baby. All right, guys. First up on the docket, we got Kirk Cousins, the big dog. So Kirk Cousins signs a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. And this is a big move, obviously. I mean, Kirk Cousins coming over, moving on from Desmond Ridder, Mariota. It's a big time upgrade for the entire offense as a whole.
It's huge.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And I've heard before, a lot of times like a new quarterback coming over doesn't make a whole lot of difference for the weapons that they have. But Kirk Cousins is a needle mover. He's an exception to that.
He's a game changer.
He's not like a Sam Darnold coming over and replacing bad quarterback play.
Exactly.
He's more of, Rodgers going to the Jets type hype. I think it's actually very comparable situation.
Yeah. Agreed.
But he did tear his ACL in October. So it kind of takes me back to with the draft. If you watched our rookies episode, you know that the Falcons did draft Penix, 8th overall. And like I said in that video, I think that's them. If they have worries with his ACL, I think that would be the only way to justify that pick.
Yeah.
That's my only trepidation with this situation with him coming over.
Yeah, because he tore his Achilles mid-season last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, because it went through Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, that's right.
That whole,
it was
carousel of quarterbacks.
Minnesota turned into a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they did.
Dobbs balled out, though.
Well, and for future moves, just a quick side note here.
Please do.
The Penix draft pick looks terrible on the draft board. I understand that, but at the same time, it's not a bad move for the future.
I don't think so either. I honestly think that they're either. I think it's one of two things.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Either they don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure. No, for sure.
If you're watching this video right now, you probably saw the video of the GM explaining it to the owner of the Falcons.
For sure.
Of the GM defending himself,
to Arthur
for
Blank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good pull. Defending that pick and, either they don't know what they're doing or they're worried about this injury going into the season.
Yeah, and I believe really the Kirk Cousins contract, it's really a 2-year deal, and year 3 and 4 are kind of optional kind of deals if the team wants to keep him, kind of thing. So we see this a lot, and if Kirk Cousins doesn't produce, which I doubt, Kirk Cousins tends to produce, but if he doesn't produce, they can move on, and they might have a guy who can carry the load. And everyone says Penix is super old, but isn't he the same age as Bo Nix?
I think he might be a little bit older, but yeah.
Yeah, not by much.
I think it's like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like 6 months.
We're not talking 5 years or anything.
Yeah, he's very similar age. Yeah. He's not a 5th year coming out of college.
Right.
He's not. It's that's overblown. It's overblown.
It's just a COVID thing that, the college landscape kind of changed because of COVID.
It got weird. We're living in that getting weird. I think you have to take those ages with a grain of salt. And with the the NCAA, with them getting paid now.
Oh, it's gonna
those
stay
college
weird.
Players getting paid now.
It's gonna stay weird.
It's gonna stay weird because they can stay there, collect an extra year of checks, and then declare.
Yep.
So I think it's all gonna be a trickle down of weirdness with that.
Yeah, get used to older quarterbacks.
But so talking about Kirk Cousins and his productivity, did you know? Tasty tidbit.
Let's hear it.
So Cousins has only finished outside the QB 13 twice since 2015.
Wow, that's really impressive.
And I don't quote me on it when I was researching it, but I used the 13 as the marker because he only did that once.
Really?
Yeah, like it was 13. And he's been like the best value for fantasy.
Yeah.
At QB since 2015.
Oh, I've gotten beat many a times by teams with Kirk Cousins.
And this includes last year.
Really?
That he was out for injury.
Wow.
So without this injury year, one time.
That's
outside the top 13.
That's a big stat.
That's
huge,
dude.
Awesome.
I was my whole thing where I was like, that's crazy. I didn't see it previously.
Right.
Before I, was doing show notes for this, where I was like, that's been probably the best value pick at quarterback.
Yeah.
Since 2015.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, everyone views him as, I want him as my backup quarterback.
Yep. He's drafted as a backup quarterback.
But how many times have we started these? I'll throw Taysom Hill in or whatever, and it's like, just draft quarterback late, and you might have a huge value, and you could grab a budding new young wide receiver or something.
I've got a perfect example for you.
Yeah.
My wife last year drafted Justin Fields, and then I guess I'll take a backup QB and grab Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And before he got injured, he was...
Any other year would have been killer.
Yeah. But, Kirk Cousins was her starting quarterback until he got hurt. And he was finishing top 8 almost every week going into that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he was actually absolutely killing it. I think for a minute there, in PPR, he was quarterback 1 for a large stretch of it there.
I think he had a minute for sure, especially with JJ out there.
So, recapping. Lost my train of thought. Recapping. Kirk Cousins is an overall, he's done it. I mean, that shows consistency. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's been doing it.
It's the most consistent.
Oh, seriously. Seriously. I mean, you could draft Lamar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lamar is this huge fantasy football hype quarterback.
You're right.
But I wish I'd have pulled that up.
Yeah.
That would be a surprising stat to look at of how many times he's finished outside the top 13.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and the thing is, I mean, it really depends on team building, and, we're not going to get into that right now, but the basics are, do you want he might give me a 40-point game, or he might give me a 10-point game, or do you just want to be 20 to 30 in the middle? You know what I mean? Do you want the consistency? Honestly, I think the consistency.
For me, when I'm building my teams.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have just consistent in one spot. If you could have it in one spot, quarterback is not a bad spot.
No, that's especially in redraft.
Yeah.
That's where I want it. I want to just not think about that position.
It would be awesome because you could focus on trying to find those wide receivers that have the, huge upside. I'd rather take Kirk and maybe add a Gabe Davis or a Keon Coleman, something a little out there just to throw on the bottom of my roster instead of Kirk Cousins.
Well, you got to think last year we were drafting Trevor Lawrence over
that's
Kirk Cousins.
I think
we were drafting Kirk Cousins light over over Kirk Cousins.
The real thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think him going there, I think he does. I mean, he does take, for proven weapons, takes a little bit of a down step with Pitts and Drake London.
For sure.
But I think they are up and coming. I'm hyped on Drake London this year.
Yeah.
Because of that. He's already shown us good production with his horrible quarterback play. He's taken those opportunities he's gotten and maximized them.
Well, and we're going to find out if Drake London is that dude, I think.
Well, and looking at this, we're going to have another huge value of Kirk Cousins, like especially in redraft, in your redraft leagues. ECR has him at QB 18.
Oh, yeah. That's
sweet.
Give me that all day, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can go 0 quarterback.
Yeah.
In your draft.
Yeah.
And just maximize all these other positions. Grab a Kirk and
I'm not opposed to
a rookie.
A Pitts stack or something later on.
Oh, I'd love a London stack.
Oh, but the way London's going, he's
pretty soon going to be drafting CeeDee Lamb or Drake London.
Yeah,
with the way this is being hyped.
A little scary.
But I see a lot of similarities between like this situation. So like Kirk Cousins and Drake London as Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson last year.
I was actually going to bring up Garrett Wilson. That was
It
my
feels
next
the
thing.
same as last year's hype.
Yeah,
It feels
does.
it feels
does.
identical.
Well, and for that matter, see, and you can't even compare the two right now because you haven't seen it from London. We've seen a little bit of like floor, I guess, but we've seen one game of ceiling, I want to say. I don't
Of
think,
London?
Yeah, of London.
Man, he's somehow pulled off mediocre consistency
I know.
with that quarterback play.
It you know who it reminds me a lot of is Deontay Johnson.
Yes.
Where it's like, I know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
There's no ceiling right now, but maybe we change
Don't hurt
that.
me like that.
But if anyone can change it, it is Kirk Cousins. Because Deontay Johnson, he didn't have a ceiling throwing quarterback. You know what I mean?
All right, that's it. We're doing a Drake London short. Bring out the stats of Drake London because he has been productive through all this garbage quarterback play.
Let me pull him up.
Pull him up. Better do it quick because I have nothing else to talk about on Kirk Cousins in my notes.
That's fine.
No, I think Drake London's going to be. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1 this year. For where he's going in redraft, I just don't know if I'll have much of him.
Right. Yeah. It's scary. It sure is. So, so Drake London in his first 2 seasons with Atlanta, both over 110 targets, 72 catches his rookie year, 69 catches his sophomore season.
So he's catching 70%?
Yeah, pretty close. And 800 yards his rookie 866 his rookie season, 900 his sophomore season. And touchdowns for his rookie year too his sophomore.
So he's missing touchdown.
He's missing touchdowns. And if he can get that catch rate up just a little bit,
well, if they're catchable,
and if they're have to be catchable, and with this offense, it's going to be really interesting to see because Kirk Cousins is not afraid to hyper target something that works.
And Arthur Smith is gone. It's huge.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank
That's
you very much.
Huge.
So I think he should have a better season. Their fantasy pros is projecting him for 81 catches, 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Based off those stats that you just listed?
Yeah.
He's going to go from 900 yards to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so he's going to get 100 more yards over 18 games.
Yep. And 10 more catches, roughly.
Oh, over.
Yeah.
So that's less than 1 extra catch a game.
So I think where he's being drafted with that stat line, they're projecting him. Well, his ECR is 13 right now, and his ADP is 12.
I think that's a floor projection.
With that projection of stats, that's a little high, in my opinion.
I think it's a floor.
They could be.
So you're averaging. So if they're projecting.
Oh, if he gets 100 catches this year, he's a top 5 wide receiver.
We need that bet system.
I know we need to set up a bet system, but it
just seems so reasonable. It's 10 catches over a season.
Yeah.
So it's half a catch a game.
Right.
So it's 1 catch every 2 games.
Oh,
additional this year.
Additional. I got you.
Yeah,
sorry.
With that huge upgrade at quarterback, it's 1 additional catch every 2 games.
Yeah.
And 10 more yards. Well, like 8.5 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's super. It's super obtainable, and I think it.
And 4 more touchdowns.
Yeah. Which with Kirk Cousins throwing the ball, I think we do see more of that. Because I'm sorry, when you watched Atlanta last year in the red zone,
I did not watch Atlanta last year.
They had no idea. It was like, what are we doing? Are we giving it to Cordero Patterson?
No,
are we
it's Jonnu
giving
Smith.
it to Jonnu Smith?
We're gonna do a handoff to Jonnu Smith, or
is it Bijan? Is it Tyler Algier? There was 15 people in that offense in the red zone. It was really weird, and I'm glad they're switching it up. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up there, but we really appreciate all the love and support. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.